Hey, Yogi family. I hope we are well. My name is Amy, if you have not met me before. And we are going to move through a nice all-rounding practice to fire up our bodies. So you can do this morning, during the day, or in the evening to give yourself a little heat and a little stretch. So we'll get started, just finding a comfortable seat. Now you can be in a cross-legged position, or if it's comfortable for you to breathe, to have your hips on your heels, then we can start here. Just take a moment to arrive in this space, close down the eyes, and just take a few deep, nourishing breaths for yourself. Big breaths in, big breaths out. Just check in with the spine, see if we can gently draw that tailbone under, lift up through the back of the neck, soften through the forehead. Lovely. As we're growing this breath and we're coming into connection with our breath, and not necessarily manipulating it or changing it in any way, just observing it here. Welcome to bring in any other gentle movements to wake up the body. So maybe drawing the chin into the chest, finding some circles in the head and the neck. Maybe you're finding a sway in the spine. Whatever we're choosing to do, just making sure we're going evenly one way as we are the other. Just a couple more moments here. Lovely, and let's find a nice neutral position. Let's just take a moment to gently blink our eyes open, and we'll just work through the wrists. So just begin to take circles with the wrists, really elaborate with the fingers. So really spread the fingers as you make these circles. Stay with one direction, and then slowly begin to extend those arms out. Keep making circles with those wrists until the arms are straight. And fire up those forearms and shoulders here by taking a few strong circles here. Lovely. And from here, let's change the direction. So let's go the other way. Just take a moment to familiarize yourself with that direction. A couple more here. And then when you're ready, slowly drawing those arms back in. Wonderful. Interlace the hands together, elbows and forearms can touch as we roll through those wrists, nice and loosely. Both directions here too. Wonderful, and we will meet in a nice tabletop position. Welcome to shake that out also. So finding that nice tabletop. And let's bring those hips underneath the knees, hands underneath the shoulders. Take a moment to spread the fingers, ground the knuckles. We can either press the tops of the feet into the floor or tuck those toes under, stretching through the feet. As we inhale, let's drop the belly, create this arch in the spine. Lift the gaze and draw those shoulder blades together. Exhale, let's press away from the floor, rounding through the back, drawing that chin into the chest. Inhale, let's drop the belly, create that arch. Exhale, let's round. Really draw that chin in and separate those shoulders. Moving through a few of these here and just bringing some space into the back body. Moving with your breath. Feel free to add anything else in that feels good. Any sways, any circles, any exaggerations. Last two breaths here. Lovely, meeting in that nice neutral spine. Let's spread the fingers, keep those toes tucked under, or tuck them under if they are not already. And we'll peel those hips nice and high. Take a moment to pedal this out. Lengthen through the hamstrings, ground through the knuckles, closing off any space between the palms and the floor. And really press into that index and thumb finger. Index finger and thumb, shall I say. And can we relax the head and neck? Deep, nourishing breaths here. Lovely. Let's bring the feet hip-width distance apart. As we'll inhale, we'll lift nice and high on the balls of the feet, stretch the toes. Exhale, drop the heels, side the breath. 2 more, inhale. Exhale, drop those heels, sigh that breath out. Inhale. And exhale, release. This time coming all the way forward into your plank pose, rounding through each vertebrae at a time, nice and slow. Realign your plank if you need. And a few ways to fire up our core here. So we'll bring that left arm forward, right arm forward, left arm back, right arm back. Left knee in, let it hover. Right knee in, let it hover. Left leg out, right leg out. Lift those hips up and back. We'll move through 2 more of those together. Inhaling, rounding through into that plank pose. And we'll go out with the left arm, out with the right arm, in with the left, in with the right, in with the left knee, hovering, and the right, and then extend both of those, hips nice and high. Lovely, 1 more time, all together, inhale. Moving through, see if we can keep those hips nice and still. Lovely, lift those hips nice and high, we'll meet here. Take a big breath in, big breath out. And slowly, we'll walk those hands towards the toes, folding forward in your Uttanasana. We can release the head and neck, relax the arms, and maybe we've got those hands by the toes, maybe we're swaying, maybe we're clasping opposite elbows, finding ragdoll. Maybe we're interlacing hands behind the back and drawing the arms overhead, finding chest expansion. Wherever we are with the arms, can we think about relaxing the head and neck? Maybe even nodding it up and down, shaking it left and right. Deep, nourishing breaths here. Maybe there's a gentle bend in the knees, or maybe we're working them to straighten. Keep thinking about lifting that tailbone nice and high, internally rotating those inner thighs up towards the ceiling. 1 more moment here. Lovely, and gently release those arms back down by the toes if they're not already there. Bring a strong bend into the knees. Arms are heavy, head is heavy. We'll roll up really, really slowly, rebuilding the spine, stacking each vertebrae on top of the other. Slower, slower, slower. Take your time here. Once that gaze eventually does lift, can we roll those shoulders down the back a couple of times? Open up through the chest. Lovely, and we'll just heel toe the feet the same width as the mat. Keep those toes facing forward. And then begin to squeeze those inner thighs together. So we can just have the legs being really passive here, but can we think about rooting down through the heels, squeezing the inner thighs as if you're trying to lift the mat up in between your legs. And there's a gentle drawing under of the tailbone as opposed to anteriorly tilting it forward. So drawing that tailbone under, draw that lower belly in, we'll sweep those arms up and overhead. Now I'll come to face you so that we can see what we're doing here. Take a big inhale, shoulders up to the ears. That right arm is going to slide down the right leg as we bump the hips to the left gently and sweep that left arm over the ear. Nice lateral bend, keep lifting that chest towards the ceiling. Exhaling. Inhale, let's lift up through center. Exhale, let's sweep that left arm down the left leg. Gently bump the hips to the right and sweep that right arm up and over the ear. Opening up through that right side body, exhale. Inhale, let's come back through center. Now we'll just dynamically move from side to side. So taking this completely at your own pace. Keep thinking about grounding through the heels and squeezing those inner thighs together. as we're exploring laterally opening each side of the body. Breathing, your inhales draw you through center, your exhales allow you to hinge at the waist. Lovely, let's take one more right and one more left. Lovely, and we'll meet with those arms drawing back up through center. Take a big inhale here. And exhale, let's draw those arms into a nice cactus position down by our sides. Lovely. So those legs are going to stay where they are. Just bring a gentle bend into them. We're going to find a nice spinal twist here. So just gently begin to rotate the arms, rotate your torso, trying to keep the gaze forward. Now we can add a little peeling off the heel of the opposite side that we're swaying to allow for a little more range of motion. And you are in complete control of how much force you are bringing into this here. Going to bring a nice opening for the spine. Keep listening to your body here. You're welcome to open those arms out if you've got the space. Maybe closing the eyes. Now, without coming to an abrupt halt, we just slowly begin to soften that sway. Lovely. And we'll find ourselves meeting at the top of our mats. Okay. So finding a nice grounded position for the feet. Maybe the feet are a little closer together or a little further apart, depending on how it feels for you. Let's take a moment to lift up through the kneecaps, draw that tailbone under, lift up through the lower belly, hands come together, heart center. Let's take an inhale. Exhale, hands by the sides. Let's inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead, reaching, grounding through the heels. And exhale, we'll hinge at those hips and we'll fold forward, Uttanasana, releasing head and neck. And bend the knees as much as you need till those hands can come to the floor. Inhale, halfway lifting, hands on the shins. We create length through the spine. Back of the legs pressed to the back of the space. Crown and top of the head towards the front. And can we soften the shoulders down the spine? Exhale, we hinge at those hips, fold forward. Hands either side as that right leg comes back, high on the ball of the foot. Now find this strength in the legs first. Lift the crease behind that back right knee up towards the ceiling. Let's sweep those arms forward. Then we find this rotation into our crescent lunge. Squeeze the right glute, soften the shoulders. Gently lift the chin, find this space in the chest and the throat. Let's take a big breath here. Exhale, let's fold and we'll find our hands framing that front left leg, bringing it back into our plank pose, nice and strong. Take an inhale here. And we can drop knees, chest. And slither our way through into a nice low cobra. Let's pin those elbows together. Draw those shoulders away from the ears, pressing into the tops of the feet. Take another inhale. Exhale, tuck those toes under. Let's peel the hips nice and high, downward facing. Take a big breath in. Big breath out. Inhale, lift that right leg nice and high. Kick the heel, squeeze the glute, and we'll draw it all the way through. Plant the foot inside the right hand, high on the ball of the left foot now. Find that strength in the legs first. Crease behind that back left knee towards the ceiling. Reach those arms forward. Then find that rotation, crescent lunge. Squeeze the left glute, soften the shoulders. Openness in the chest and the throat. Big breath in. Now that left leg will come to meet the right as we fold forward, hinging at the hips, interlacing hands or grabbing a strap here, holding either end, finding an opening in the chest and the shoulders. Relaxing the head and neck. Can we draw those shoulder blades down the back, create more space for the head and neck. Big breath in. Big sigh out here. We'll come up through a chair pose, sitting nice and low, Utkatasana. Let's sweep those thumbs to the back of the space. Shift that weight into the heels. And can we find this lift in the chest and throat again? So gaze is up. We open through the arms. Big breath in. Exhale, sit a little lower, and let's come all the way up. Adding that reach, maybe even gaze up. Big breath. Exhale, hands through heart center, Samastiti. Beautiful. Left side to go. Inhale. Exhale, hands by the sides. Inhale, sweep up, reach up. Exhale, folding forward, Uttanasana, release head and neck. Bend the knees as much as you need. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, folding, left leg back first. Turn the ball of the foot, find and establish that strength. Sweep those arms forward, inhale. Hinge at those hips, find that crescent lunge nice and strong. Squeeze the glutes, relax the shoulders, big breath in. Frame that front right foot, exhale. Inhale, find your plank pose, nice and strong. Exhale, drop knees, chest, or chaturanga if it's part of your practice. Inhale, we can find low cobra, bhujangasana, or we can press into the arms, finding urdhva mukha, shoulders away from the ears, maybe even lifting the knees. Big breath in. Exhale, tuck those toes under, find your downward facing, big breath. Big sigh. Left leg will rise, kick the heel, squeeze the glute. We'll draw it all the way through. Plant the foot inside the left hand, high on the ball of the right foot. Find that strength. Sweep those arms forward. Inhale, find that rotation. Crescent lunge. Establish this pose, relax those shoulders, find that lift. Inhale. Right leg meets the left as we fold forward, interlacing hands or grabbing that strap, drawing those arms overhead. Relax the head and neck. Big nourishing breaths here. And maybe there's a really strong bend in the knees as the belly and chest rest on the thighs. One more big breath. Welcome to side out. Coming up through that chair pose, inhale. Sweep those thumbs to the back of the space. Shift that weight into the heels. Be mindful not to sink into the lower back. Can we draw that tailbone under, draw that belly in? Beautiful, inhale. Sit a little lower, exhale. And let it propel you all the way up, reaching, inhale. Exhale, Samastiti. Take a moment, separate the feet, arms away from the body. Mountain pose, Tadasana, close down the eyes. And allow those shoulders to relax, kneecaps to relax, forehead and jaw. Take a big breath in here. Big breath out. Beautiful. Bringing those feet back together, we'll move through the same, adding in now, hands at heart center. Inhale. Exhale, hands by the sides. Inhale, sweep up, reach up. Welcome to add a gentle back bend here, squeezing glutes, pushing hips forward, opening through the chest, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, we fold, Uttanasana, forward fold, relax head and neck. Inhale, halfway, create that length. Exhale, plant the hands, right leg comes back. Now staying close to the floor, plant that right hand as we sweep that left arm up into a nice low lunge twist. Spread the fingers, gently lift up through the hips, active in that back right leg. We can check in with this left shoulder, maybe even drawing the hand in line with the face and plugging that left shoulder back in, then finding that lift. Big breath. And can we stay in this twist as we reach that left arm back, right arm forward, find some balance. Beautiful. We'll keep circling through those arms as we plant the back foot into our warrior two, Virabhadrasana 2. Lovely. Strong bend in that front left leg. Right toes diagonally towards the top right corner of the mat. Extend those arms, but relax those shoulders. Big breath in. Exhale, sink a little deeper. We can flip that front palm, reach it up towards the ceiling. Right arm down the right leg or sweeping around the back. Reach that left arm up as we press those left ribs forward. Big breath into that left side body. Big breath out, draw it in. One more here. Inhale. And as we exhale, that left elbow is going to plant on that left knee as we reach that right arm up towards the ceiling. Now really think about pressing into the knife edge of this back right foot, drawing that right hip back slightly. Maybe even sweeping that right arm over the ear. Big breath in, send the breath to the belly. Draw that belly in. One more moment here. Lovely, let's sweep that right arm all the way down and round to frame that front left foot, and we'll find a nice vinyasa. Finding your plank pose, take an inhale here. Knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Elbows hug the body. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha, upward facing, shoulders away from ears. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a big breath in. Big breath out. Right leg will lift, kick the heel, squeeze the glute. Let's draw it all the way through. Plant the foot inside the right hand. Now keep that left hand where it is. We'll find that low lunge twist, sweeping that right arm up towards the ceiling. Active in that back left leg, lifting gently through the hips. And we can realign that right shoulder again, drawing that hand in line with the face, plugging that right shoulder back and lifting it up. Breathing. One more moment here. Now the challenge is to stay in the twist as we reach that right arm back, lifting up through that left arm, keep squeezing the legs, active in the glutes. We'll continue circling the arms as we plant through that back foot. Virabhadrasana 2, I was a little shaky there. We move. Okay, finding that warrior 2 here, strong bend in that front right leg. Back toes diagonally towards the top left corner of the mat. Let's relax the shoulders. Take a big breath in. Exhale, sink a little deeper. We'll flip that front right palm, finding our reverse warrior, left arm down the left leg or around the back as we reach that right arm up towards the ceiling. Pressing the right ribs forward as opposed to crunching and leaning all the way back. Let's breathe into those right ribs. Sending that breath down into the belly, drawing that belly in as we exhale. Stay strong in those legs. One more here. Your exhale will encourage that right elbow to the right knee as we reach that left arm up towards the ceiling, spreading the fingers and really pressing into the knife edge of that back left foot. Welcome to sweep that left arm over the ear. Can we breathe into the left ribs here? Slightly drawing that left hip back. Deep breaths. Let's take one more here. Lovely, and we'll sweep that left arm all the way down to frame that front right foot. Right foot comes back to meet the left plank pose. Take an inhale. Knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Elbows hug the body. Inhale, upward facing. Shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, downward facing. Take a big breath in here. Big breath out. 2 more like that. Big breath in. Big breath out. Last time. Big breath in. Big breath out. We're going to walk those feet a little closer towards the hands. Hands towards the feet. Now heel toe. The toes out, heels in, and we'll begin to lower our bottoms towards the floor. Finding a Malasana Yogi squat here. So play around with the distance of your feet, and once we've found it, maybe just taking a few moments to bring those palms together and press those elbows to the knees, knees to the elbows. Find a little hip opening and play with the activation in your glutes. Notice if they're passive and when they're active, what that brings to the pose. Lovely. Now we're going to move through some dynamic movement, bringing those hands to the floor. Now as we inhale, we'll peel that tailbone nice and high, finding a forward fold. Welcome to draw the toes forward at the same time. Then as we exhale, if we take the option to draw the toes forward, draw them back out as we lower the hips back down, Malasana. You can keep the feet exactly where they are. It's just a preference. Inhale, peeling that tailbone nice and high. Exhale, lowering the bottom down. See if you can press the arms slightly into the knees, open up through the hips a little more, if that feels safe. Moving through a few of these here. Lengthening through the hamstrings as well as opening up through the hips. Couple more. Now we're going to meet in this nice forward fold here. Now you'll be facing forward on your mat, and then from here just walking those hands back out into a downward facing dog. We'll take an inhale, we'll lift that right leg nice and high, and we'll draw that knee to the nose, draw that heel into the bottom. Inhale, lift it up and back. Exhale, right knee to the right elbow, see if they can touch. Exhale, up and back. Inhale, right knee to the left elbow, seeing if they can touch. Inhale, up and back. And then we'll draw that leg all the way through, but bringing the knee behind the crease of the right wrist, extending that left leg out, finding your pigeon. Now take a moment here just to open up through that right hip, so maybe taking a gentle rock left and right. Maybe we're really active in the right toes. And then when you're ready, you can stay up here on your hands, you can come down to your forearms. Finding a few moments here. Can we soften through the shoulders? Relax through all the muscles in the face. Relax through that extended left leg. Each breath opening up that right hip. Inhales bring a little more space. Exhales allow you to sink into that space. Three more breaths here. Lovely. Nice and slowly think about pressing into the hands, gently drawing that chest up. And we'll roll onto that outer right hip. We'll encourage that left leg all the way round, crossing that left leg over the right. Now we're going to find a nice seated twist. And if we cross that left leg over the right and find that this left sit bone is really lifted and we can't plant it on the ground, then we're going to extend that right leg. So either option, I'm really pressing that right leg into the floor if it's extended toes towards the shin. Now we're going to wrap that right arm around that left thigh as that left hand comes behind you. Take a big breath in. And exhale, we'll twist towards your left. Relax and soften through that left shoulder. Gaze is gently over the left shoulder. And we'll send the breath into the belly. Draw that belly in as we exhale, encouraging a little more twist here. Maybe soften the eyes. Let's take one more breath here. Slowly unraveling the gaze back towards the front first and then the body. And from your position, we're going to encourage that left leg all the way back round, finding your way back into that pigeon pose so that we can transition to the other side. Find your downward facing. Take a moment, pedal this out. And as we inhale, we'll lift that left leg nice and high, kick the heel, squeeze the glute. Exhale, draw that knee to the nose, left heel tucks into the bottom. Inhale, up and back. Exhale, left knee to the left elbow, seeing if they can touch. Inhale, up and back. Exhale, left knee across to the right elbow, seeing if they can touch. Inhale, up and back. And then we'll encourage that right knee behind the crease of the left elbow, setting up for your pigeon pose. Lengthen that right leg out. Take a few moments to ease in. Notice if also there's a little difference in that left side to the right. Easier, harder, just observing. And whenever you're ready, finding your way into your full pigeon here. Maybe that's up here on the hands. Maybe it's lowering to the forearms. Maybe it's lengthening all the way out. Really listening to your bodies here. Relaxing through the shoulders. Softening through all the muscles in the face. Relaxing through that extended right leg. And finding some deep, nourishing breaths. Begin to slow it down. And again, we're creating space in this left hip. So every inhale, creating that space. And every exhale, allowing you to deepen into it. We're breathing here. If the mind wanders, that's very much okay. Can we bring it back to our breath? Bring it back to any sensations in the body. Can you relax a little more? Last 3 breaths here. Lovely. Think about nice and slowly pressing into those hands, lifting up through the chest. And we'll gently roll onto that left hip, encouraging that right leg to come all the way round, crossing over that left leg. Now again, the same here. If that right sit bone is really lifted, can we encourage that left leg to extend? Toes pointing towards the shin, and we'll wrap that left arm around the right leg. This time right arm comes behind you. Take an inhale, and exhale, we'll twist towards our right, keeping that spine nice and tall, soft through that right shoulder, and gaze is gently over that right shoulder here. Sending the breath into the belly, drawing that belly in as we exhale. Maybe those eyes are closed. One more moment here. Lovely, gently drawing that gaze back first, unraveling the body. We'll stay forward, we'll just plant both feet in front of us, reach those arms as far forward as they go. Maybe even shuffle yourselves a little forward depending on where you are on your mats. And really, really slowly, each vertebrae at a time, we're going to lower our bodies to the ground. Take your time, feel that little shake in the core and the creak in the floorboard. Lovely. And we'll draw those knees into the chest, hands just under the knees, and we'll just take a moment to gently massage the lumbar spine. Really creaky floorboards. Going both directions. Lovely, and give those knees a nice squeeze into the chest. Wrap those arms around the shins and really hug those knees in. Take a big breath in. Exhale here, let it go. This time, draw your gaze up towards the knees. Lift that head into a really small ball. Take another breath in. And as we exhale, like a starfish, splaying out all of our limbs, legs, and arms as we find our final resting pose, Shavasana. Legs are nice and wide, toes splaying out, arms are away from the body, palms facing the ceiling. Play around with where those shoulders are placed if you need to, and the hips and the glutes. And close down the eyes. Take a big inhale. Big exhale. Allow everything to melt. Now we dedicate a few moments of stillness and peace, where we no longer need to move, no longer need to think about how we're breathing, just allowing our bodies to simply be. And trust in my voice to guide you back out when it's time. Taking a big breath in, inhale. Big breath out, exhale. Big breath in. Big breath out. Inhaling fresh new energy into the body. And exhaling any heaviness that no longer serves you. Lovely, bringing some movements back into the body, wiggling fingers and toes. Maybe circling wrists and ankles, both directions. And finding a nice final full body stretch, drawing those feet together, arms above the head. Take a full body reach, take a big breath in. And exhale, releasing whenever you're ready. Rolling over to your preferred side, finding a nice fetal position, keeping the eyes closed, and just take a moment here Take a moment to honor your practice, to be proud of your bodies, proud of yourself. When you're ready, pressing into that grounded hand, finding a nice comfortable seat. Now keep all that space you've created in the body. Eyes are closed, shoulders relaxed. We'll take a few final breaths, pressing those hands into the tops of the thighs. Shoulders will come up to the ears and really squeeze them at the top. And then upon exhale, we'll really relax the shoulders, sigh the breath out and round through the back. We'll do this together. Inhaling, shoulders up to the ears. Exhale, letting that go completely. 2 more like this. Inhale. Exhale. Last time. Inhale. Exhale. Lovely. Bringing those hands together at heart center. Taking a moment of gratitude to honor all that there is and all that you are. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed your practice. Please like, subscribe. It really supports my channel, and I really hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.